Welcome to this small video. Here I will show some tricks or basically normal gameplay how to play TA. So here are my Samsons. If I select Ctrl-C jet, I can select all units of the same type. Yes, if you are very lazy and you don't want to individually control them, you just hit one of them and Ctrl-Z and all the units, all the same kind units will be selected. And if I select just two of them, I hold the shift like this. Now I have two units, but if I had Ctrl-Z, all units of the same kind will be selected. And if I want to send her to the commander, now the screen will be locked with the Ctrl-C command. Ctrl-C. Now I can break the screen lock by moving the screen a little bit. So I will always find my commander with Ctrl-C. And with Ctrl-D, I can set the self-destruction cycle for all selected units, and I can cancel it with hitting Ctrl-D another time. And if I have any idle constructors, I can find it out by hitting Ctrl-B, and it will cycle all idle constructors. I can send them to build things. This one I set for metal extractors, and I'm holding the shift key to queue several commands to it. And now it will follow these queues. But if I hold the X key, and in this case Shift X, I can queue lines of buildings like this. And I can also queue rings of buildings around a building or a unit. If I hold the X key and hover the mouse like this, or like this, but we will not do that now. And we will select our Samsons, and we will go on the attack. Now we have no enemies, so we will have to pretend that we have an enemy. So let's pretend that this metal extractor is now the enemy, and we will attack it in the most ineffective way possible. So all the units will be like queuing behind each other, trying to get to the firing range. And on Rome the range is not the maximum range. But if we set it on hold position, then all the units will fire from their maximum range. And they will not go very close. But now if you're on hold position and an airplane would fly overhead, they would shoot at it, but as soon as the airplane goes out of the line of sight, these Samsons, they would lose the lock on that airplane. But if we had the roam, the lock would always stay. So as long as these guys are not stopped by the stop key, they would always be locked and stay locked to any passing aircraft. So if the aircraft would come from here, and then it would go out of line of sight, on hold position, they would instantly unlock from it when the airplane leaves the range. This is the range, and it's no longer on the line of sight. So here is where the airplane would be no longer locked to this. So when it would come again, the airplane, this is the moment that when these Samsons would lock to it again. But if these units would be on roam setting and the airplane would be coming from here, they would lock at this point, and when the airplane leaves the line of sight and it leaves this range of this firing range of these units, it would still stay locked, because even if these units, they couldn't follow it, they would still stay locked to it on the roam setting. So when the airplane would be returning here, they would already be locked all the time, and they would be firing from this point on when the airplane reaches the range of their weapons. and we can queue the factory 1 unit at a time with left click, or 5 units at a time with shift left click, or 100 units at a time with control shift left click. And we can also erase units from the queue by 1 or 5 or 100 at a time. But if we use the flash to attack, the best way would be to drive behind the target, because these units have a very short range, so it's good to have the flash and roam. And if this was an enemy unit here, and this was an enemy unit, they would start firing now. And all of these units, they don't have to queue behind each other, because if I click attack like this, they will all funnel up into this queue, and these units will be blocked by the first units, and nobody gets to fire except these 2 units. But if we drive behind the target, they would be everybody would be shooting. But the thing that when we drive behind these enemy units, and if they have a lot of health and they wouldn't die, there would be no firing at this one. And when we reach this moment that the range is no longer there and they would be locked here, I would have to stop the units very shortly by pressing the stop key, and they would relock their main armament and their secondary armament to the next target. And the same goes for skeeters and pelicans and stuff like this. Sometimes there's a point in the game that you have to stop all the units. It only takes like a millisecond to hit the S key and stop them, so that they will all relock their missiles, but they will lose the targets that they had locked with their weapons, but now they have new targets. And what I'm using to draw on the map, this is the whiteboard key with the 3.9 patch, and if I hit Ctrl F2 I can see the menu here, and here's the megamap key F4. This is the line building auto click key X, and whiteboard key of the key under S is called OEM5. And there's the F11 macro. That is not cheats, but it's like a TA sharing commands, and no shake is no screen shaking, on plus BPS it will show bits per second, and plus shoot all it will target non-weaponized units like solar panels and whatever. So if we hit F11 we can see the macro is now on. And now I'm sharing energy to my allies, but keeping 777 for myself. And we can draw with the whiteboard key by holding the whiteboard key. Holding the left mouse button is like this. And I can set a speed marker with the middle mouse button like this. Or I can double left click to make a text marker and write the text for my allies or whatever. And with the right mouse button holding the whiteboard key I can erase, or with the left button I can move this marker here. So it's very useful to have these tools when you're playing against people with allies. So this is it for now, and thank you for watching.